Hey friends, welcome to Living the KG Life, a pixie dust filled podcast. On today's episode, we have Keri from Third Wish Designs, who's going to talk to us all about how she creates magic for all of us in her shop. So stick around, it's going to be great. All right, well, Keri, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off and tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Keri, and I am the small business owner of Third Wish Designs. It sounds crazy to me to even call it a small business just because it started out as it's a fun thing for me to do for myself. But I make and design magical theme park inspired t-shirts and that are kind of mashed up with some popular culture references. So that's what I do.
I cannot wait to talk more about that in general because your shirts are hands down some of my favorite. And I feel
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
whenever I go and whether it's in the parks or wearing them around, people are like, oh my gosh, I saw your shirt and it was cute. And then I read the shirt and was like, oh my God. And you can watch it click for people, which I just love.
That is great. I love hearing that feedback. That's awesome.
Yeah. So before we hop into the shop, tell us a little bit about your kind of journey with Disney. So what's your earliest either memory with Disney or what made you fall in love with Disney?
Oh my gosh. So I've been going to Disney since I was literally in the womb. My mom went when she was pregnant with me. And I think my first actual trip, I was 9 months old. And we have been going. It was just my family's favorite place to go. So we always went. Um, my favorite character from the gate has been Pluto. I think Pluto made me fall in love with Disney. There's a picture of me when I'm little, touching his nose, and I just, the magic just seeped into me. My mom always says I was pixie dusted at a young age.
Oh, I
So
love
we've
that.
been going on Disney trips as a family. It's funny, this week coming up in New Jersey is the New Jersey Teachers Convention. So this week is called New Jersey Week in Disney because all the Jersey families take their kids to Disney every year during Teachers Convention. We went to Disney with my family. But yeah, just so many trips, so many memories. It's been a huge part of my life. And I am glad now that as an adult, I can afford to take these trips because we used to go very cheaply. We would drive there from New Jersey. We would stay at not the best hotels, off property, and we'd be eating our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the parks and stuff. But
making it happen.
Yeah, and my mom and dad always said, would you rather do the expensive trip and only get to go once every 5 years? Or would you rather not get the souvenirs, maybe not buy the Mickey ears and not eat, at the nice restaurants in the park, but maybe go more often? I'm like, go more often. But that's always been my mentality. People ask me all the time, what's your favorite Disney resort? I'm like, oh, I don't really know. I haven't stayed at that many. I stay at the value resorts. I think the All Star and the Century are the only ones I stayed at. Where else have I stayed? I stayed at Port Orleans, I think, one time. And that was for the senior trip that I worked when I went with one of the students that I was an age for. So I was like, oh, that was the nicest hotel I've stayed at because my job was paying for it.
I am the exact same way. I have almost exclusively stayed at the value resorts, aside from we did one trip at Port Orleans, and then the actually 2 trips that I did during the pandemic, I did solo trips. I stayed.
Oh, that's so fun.
That was kind of my first venture out of the All-Star bubble. And we stayed at Pop Century and then Art of Animation. So that was kind of I would say the majority of my trips were the same because you really don't need to spend an exorbitant amount unless you want to, and that's the experience that you want to have. But I'm the same way. I would much rather be able to go more often, and I personally don't spend a ton of time in the room, so I'm like,
right,
all works for me.
I know a lot of people that love to spend time at the resort, go to the pool, and I'm just not that person. I may wake up in the morning, get ready, stay at the park all day, come home at night, go to sleep type of person. I'm there for Disney. I'm there for the rides. I'm there for the atmosphere in the parks, not so much let's go eat at this nice restaurant in Disney Springs. And that's not really me. There's nice restaurants in New Jersey. I can eat here.
I will eat chicken nuggets all week if that's what makes it happen.
Definitely
I'm in.
The quick service dining plan type of girl.
I love it. So you said you're going down from New Jersey. So how do you usually plan your trips? Do you have business trips? Do you have like trips that you go personal? Like, how do you make it all work, especially being a teacher as well? Like, do you have certain times that you can go? How do you make it all work?
Yeah, unfortunately, the times that I can go are the times when like the rest of the country can also go because their kids are out of school. I am a summer trip girl, and it's very crowded. It's very hot in Orlando. Like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. It's funny, I can't usually even wear my t-shirts. I have to make myself tank tops for the summer because it's so hot there,
Oh,
even
how
for like
funny.
getting pictures and stuff. It's funny how the shift has come about since this business has become more of a business and not just something that's for fun. My trips were just for fun before, and now it's like I have to think about getting Instagram content and I have to think about getting product photos and what outfits I'm going to bring and what ears I have to match those outfits and things I never ever worried about before. I was very much an athleisure park wear person. Like I was wearing, Sophie shorts and like a workout tank top to the parks. Now that's shifted a little bit. My best friend goes to Disney with me and maybe every other year. And she's been really good about like tolerating the fact that I need to take pictures and things like that. My last trip was in August and my husband went with me. He is not a Disney person. I don't know how I ended up with him. Love him, but he is not like he and his family went to Disney once his whole life and never really watched Disney movies. I don't know. So he also tolerated it for me. He understood. I'm like, all right, we'll do the pictures first thing in the morning before we get sweaty and miserable, and then we can just enjoy the day. But this last trip was so crowded. It was the week before all the Florida residents went back to school. So the parks were packed. Even though it was supposed to be less like a limited capacity, it was awful. Not a great trip. So he's like, I don't think he ever wants to go back. So my next one may be a solo trip, or maybe I'll go with my mom. My mom's always down to go as well. And she's like jealous when I go without her. So maybe the next trip will be with my mom.
There you go, a little mom-daughter trip. I love that.
Yeah. We've done that a few years ago. We did a mom-daughter trip. It was great.
That's so fun. Do you have like different traditions? So it sounds like you've gone like with your family, you've gone with your husband, you've gone with your friends. Do you have any traditions or like must-dos, things that regardless of who you go with, you're like, I have to do this, eat here, ride this ride?
Yes, I have certain foods that I need to have, and it's really ridiculous, but I need to have a Dole Whip float, the raspberry pineapple Dole Whip float I need. And see, this is not like a childhood tradition, because like I said, when I was a kid, we ate like goldfish in the parks, which I still bring my goldfish to the park, but
Yeah,
like,
bring those little mini bags of goldfish. Those are a lifesaver.
yeah, and like I'll pack sandwiches if need be. Like I don't need to eat everything in the park, but there are treats that I want, and I want a raspberry pineapple Dole Whip float. I want a Peter Pan float. It's hard now that they don't have the dining plan because I have less opportunity to like just get snacks when I want them. Now I actually have to pay for them and it makes me a little sad. So this last trip, I'm trying to think what else. My husband loves the turkey leg. Oh God.
No,
And the turkey leg he loves. And that was
I think
our
he's
big thing.
the first human that I have heard of, aside from like,
That
you
likes it.
randomly see somebody walking, you're like, do you actually like that? Are you actually enjoying that?
You know what? I actually like the turkey leg too. That was the
Amazing.
one food that we ever bought in the parks as a family. And like, God, we were so cheap. We would split one. My mom, my dad, my brother, myself, and we were little at the time, so it's not like we really ate much, but we would split a turkey leg, and that was back when they were $6.
But they're
Now
also
they're like
huge.
15. Yeah, they're gigantic. So he will get a turkey leg. That's his big thing, and I'll nibble at the turkey leg just because I could never eat a whole one myself anyway. We don't eat. I'm trying to think. I don't even really eat in the restaurants. I like to go to Cosmic Rays
Hmm.
just because I love the ambiance in there. Well, I like to go in there and chicken nuggets and French fries, like something cheap and silly. I think the best food memories and stuff are always at Magic Kingdom. Like I love the ice cream parlor on Main Street. I
Hmm.
like to sit in the little yellow chairs and just people watch and like I love getting ice cream on Main Street. Casey's Corner, like oh my gosh, all the food on Main Street is so good. But yeah, as far as food, that's really the two floats I think are my favorite Disney snacks. Very refreshing. Like I said, I go in August usually,
Yeah,
so those are much needed.
you need the cool
As
down.
far as rides go, People Mover, like I could ride the People Mover all day long, hands down,
Yes.
People Mover. like the paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow, that was like something that my family and I would say to each other all the time, like growing up. And I love that that's kind of become a thing now. Like people are
Yeah.
making shirts with that on it.
I feel like our generation made the people mover big again.
Yes. I feel like everyone's like, what's the people mover? That's so boring. I'm like, what? Best ride ever. Like,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy feeling the wind in my hair and sitting for a nice, long, relaxing ride.
Yep.
And
Seeing
it's
the
nice when it's
castle.
not, yeah, doing it at night is nice. My favorite ride of all time is Splash Mountain,
Yes.
solely for nostalgic purposes. This was the first like big kid ride I ever went on,
Yeah.
and I can feel it like it was yesterday. The first time I rode this ride, I always would ride rides with my dad. My mom would ride with my brother. He's old. He's 2 years older than me. So my dad is sitting next to me, and I'm so nervous. I'm like terrified of this ride, and he's afraid I'm gonna fall out. He didn't realize like how little I was, and so he has his arm around my shoulders, holding on to the grip in front of my two hands. Like I'm holding here, and his hands in the middle. That was before they had the lap bar.
Yeah.
It was just a thing to hold on to in the front, and just I remember riding that ride with him and feeling so accomplished afterwards, and like that's my favorite ride of all time. And I know that they're changing it and everybody's very excited for it. So I had to make sure this last trip that I went on it again, just in case I don't get back before, it changes. So I don't know. That's my favorite. That's a must do every time. I don't care how long I have to wait for that ride. I'll wait in the heat for hours. Maybe
Same.
not hours, but
And then you get the nice little cool down at the end. But I feel like especially lately, like you said, with the retheming coming up, I also really love Splash Mountain. I'm like, oh, this might be the last time. I gotta get on it. And
yeah.
then I will make it a purpose, like make a point to ride it at least once, if not multiple times. I'm like, I don't care if it's hot, I don't care if it's already raining, I'm going on it.
Yeah. I was nervous when I went because the lines were really crazy long for everything. Because right
Yeah.
now, I don't know if they're starting to bring back like the character meet and greets and stuff. But when we were there was none of that extra stuff that kept
Right.
people out of the ride line. No
Right.
characters walking around, no parades really. You can't just go and sit in a restaurant. You had the mobile order.
And a lot
So
of
the
restaurants
lines were
still
just
weren't
long.
open.
Right. So everybody was just, well, I'll wait in line. And it was hot. And I told my husband, I was like, this is the one that we have to wait for. I said, just please, we're waiting for this one. He's like, all right, let's get in line. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
it was the line was so long and it was so hot outside that day, but totally worth it. I feel good that I got to go on it again, just in case I don't again before it changes. It'll be cool when it changes, and I'm sure I'll still love it. But
Yeah.
I get very sentimental about Disney rides. Like I rode the Great Movie Ride the day before it closed,
Ugh.
and I cried. Like it's so pathetic. I was like so sad that day. I rode the guy wasn't even called the Universe of Energy, but the Ellen's Energy Adventure the day that was the last day it was open. And I cry, like it's so ridiculous that I cry all the time. I just don't like to let go of those old Disney memories, but new things are fun too, I guess.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the important part, right? It's like it's not just a ride, and I think that's what a lot of people forget. And people that are like, "You're going back to Disney, you've been 100 times." Like there are so many memories attached to eating at something like Casey's Corner, or watching the fireworks on the hub, or riding Splash Mountain. Like they're actually attached to special memories and feelings that you have, not just a 2-second drop down a fake mountain.
Right. It's not Six Flags. Like Six Flags, it's like you go for the thrill of a roller coaster and then you buy $7 popcorn and you go home. And
right.
The magic of it is not there. So it's like I could ride Splash Mountain like a zillion times, not because I love the thrill of the drop, but like I like how it makes me feel when I remember riding it with my dad when I was little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get all emotional.
That's
like no other place does that. It's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you have like special ties to something like that, you're really passionate about it, cool things come of it, like your shop. So let's talk all about Third Wish Designs.
Okay.
I can't even describe. I don't want to give it away, so I'm going to let you describe for everybody what you carry in your shop and how you do it, because I will be too excited and ramble about it.
So funny.
I'm going to let you give a description.
Okay, so I basically the way my shop started is I have always loved making shirts for events, for concerts, for things like that. But I used to, paint designs on my shirts, like with a paintbrush and like
Amazing.
puffy paint or whatever, or iron on letters and like, go to AC Moore, Michaels and buy stuff at the craft store and make shirts. So
Yes.
when I was going to Disney with my best friend for the first time, like as adults, I was like, we need shirts. Let's make some shirts. And I didn't like anything that I had really seen. And the first shirt that I designed is actually still in my shop. It's really funny. It's a mashup of Beauty and the Beast and Disney snacks. And it has some Disney snacks on it. And it says, if you're stressed, it's fine dining we suggest from the Be Our Guest
Yes.
song. And I always love, I'm really into music, really into song lyrics, and it just kind of like went together. I'm like, this is perfect. So I made these shirts for us. We got so many compliments. We met Belle, and Belle was like, oh my gosh, Lumiere would love your shirts. And it's like that sort of interaction is so fun.
Yeah.
Um, so from there, I started making other shirts for other things like Halloween and things like that. And people wanted me to, like, what's your Etsy? Do you have an Etsy? Do you have an Etsy? And I was like, well, I don't. Should I make one? Like, I never really thought this was going to be a business. Basically, I moved to a new town where I didn't know anyone and I was bored and I didn't like how much TV I was watching. So I decided I want to make these shirts. I want to like do this myself. When we made them before, my best friend had a silhouette, which is like a cricket, and she
Hmm.
would make them. I designed them and she made them. So my husband bought me a Cricut for my birthday and I was just putting vinyl on everything. I was like making all the things and it was keeping me busy. And I actually made my Instagram account 3 years ago, like 2 days ago, which like showed up on my Facebook memories or something. I was like, oh my God, I've had it open for 3 years. But that was before the shop was even a thought.
Right.
It was just for fun. So I just was posting pictures of things I was making and people were like, where can I buy this? And I was like, oh dear God, do I need to make a store? Is this a
Yeah.
thing? Like this is becoming a thing. So I started coming up with, I had more ideas than I had time to even make. And I just started making all these ideas and realized that I could mock up the design on the computer without actually having to physically make the shirt. So
Hmm.
I could show what the design looked like before instead of just having a gazillion shirts. Because I have now at this point, I don't even know how many designs I have, way too many. But designs would come to me from listening. I listen to music all the time. I have Spotify playing in my apartment constantly. And I would think, oh my gosh, that lyric reminded me of, this ride or this Disney movie or this character. And a little bit of a mashup would come together. Like I am really good at making connections between things that aren't actually related in any way. And that's kind of what my shop has turned into. That's been like my shtick from the beginning. I have some designs that aren't really music related, but they're mostly music related just because I feel like my brain thinks in song lyrics. So I don't know if I covered what I should have covered there, but I started rambling
Yeah.
about the shop. So
And
so
it's
then
perfect.
I opened up the website. I got my own website. I'm not on Etsy. I'm actually on Shopify. So it's my own. I have my own website domain, thirdwishdesigns.com. Shameless plug.
We will put
Um,
that in the show notes for sure.
awesome. So then, yeah, I'm still blown away that people want to buy the stuff I make. It blows my mind when people are like, oh, you have a small business? I'm like, do I? I guess I do. I guess I do have a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, I am obsessed with your mashup shirts. You are a big Taylor Swift fan,
Sure am.
as am I. And I think it might have been a Taylor Swift shirt that was one of the first ones of yours that I bought. And I think when you see someone who like loves two things that you're like, oh, somebody else also loves those things as much as I do. That's amazing. For everybody listening, I'm currently wearing a Maleficent Third Wish Design shirt that says, "She had a marvelous time ruining everything." Taylor, of course, perfection on Halloween. And how do you think about, so whether it's like Taylor or some other song that you hear, is it something where you just like, it just pops in your mind? You're like, oh, yes, that's it. That's the shirt I have to do. And like, do you jot down a note or like, how does that process happen?
So it's funny. I feel like Taylor Swift shirts are all I know how to make anymore, just because I've been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift's my favorite. So think some people are probably like, can you do anything else?
Well, she's
Do
also
you
a
know any?
lyrical genius,
She
so
really is. That's a really good way of putting it. She is a lyrical genius. She and like her lyrics are very magical and whimsical, and they do
yeah.
go with a lot of Disney themes. So when I'm listening, a lot of times, so when I said I moved to a new town, I moved an hour and a half away from where I'm from in South Jersey. So I would do a lot of back and forth driving, like to go visit my mom or visit my friends. And I would think something in the car while I'm listening to Taylor Swift or whatever on the radio or on Spotify. And it just, a random line would come up as I'm singing along. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like that would be good with this. So I just pulled up on my phone. I have a huge like list of shirt ideas. And it's just, if I think of something and I don't have time to actually sit and work on it, I'll type it in there. Like one of the more recent Taylor Swift ones I did, it was a Loki mashup, like from the Loki TV show,
Yep.
and the new song Renegade that she has with Big Red Machine. And I wrote down, are you really going to talk about timing in times like these? And then I put dash Loki TVA. So I would remember, like, I want to make a TVA shirt or a Loki themed shirt or something. I may not know what it looks like yet,
Yeah.
but I know I want that idea. So then when I finally have a minute to sit down and make something, I can go in there, which reminds me, I was just thinking, I'm like, there's some stuff in here I haven't made yet. I really, as I'm looking through, I'm like, oh, I have to sit down and make some things.
You got to revisit the list.
I really do. It's funny. And like, so people say to me, I can't force design.
Right.
It has to come naturally. So when somebody says, oh, you should do this or you should do that, and like, I get a lot of comments like that on Instagram. You should do this and you should do that. And sometimes I'm like, did you not like what I did? Like, I start to take it personally, and I know I shouldn't take it that way because people are just offering their suggestions, which is fine. But it's hard for me to come up with an idea for someone else's idea.
Yep.
Or come up with a design for someone else's idea. People ask me to do custom shirts all the time, and I don't often say yes because it's hard to bring someone else's idea to life.
Absolutely.
I am by no means an artist. I wish I was. I have to have a very specific idea in my head, and sometimes it doesn't even end up on, I want to say on paper, but like on the computer the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an artist. I wish I went to school for graphic design. If I ever have a free minute, I'll take a class or something just to better myself. But it has to kind of come up naturally for me, pop into my head, something like that. I don't know. So occasionally I'll do a custom if someone says something and something clicks to me automatically. There's a shirt, I just teased it recently that someone asked me to do. They're like, do you have any Taylor Swift Tinkerbell ideas?
Ooh.
So they didn't give me any other parameters other than Taylor Swift and Tinkerbell. And immediately, because Tinkerbell's kind of a jerk, I'm not a huge Tinkerbell fan. I think she's a bit of a jerk. I never watched like the Tinkerbell movies, but in Peter Pan, she's a jerk.
Yep.
So I immediately thought of Better Than Revenge because she's so jealous of Wendy and Peter. So I came up with this idea. I ran it by the person who wanted the custom, and she loved it. I made it up and she loved it. And I loved it so much that I'm going to offer it in the shop. So I sent it to her as her custom order, but I kind of like teased it on my story. So coming soon, friends, if you keep an eye out for it.
I love that. Now, do you have a design that's like been your favorite so far that you've done, Taylor or otherwise?
Oh, it's so hard to pick a favorite. It really depends on the day. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the Taylor Swift Loki shirt just because I love the shirt color it's on. It's on like a dusty bluish greenish color. I wear that one a lot. I think by far my most popular design is the We All Got Crowns, You Need to Calm Down shirt, and it has all the Disney princess crowns on it. That one is the most popular. I find that I get requests for that one the most. I think what I wear the most. I really like my Peter Losing Wendy, the design that I have. That I wear that one a lot. Obviously, there are Taylor Swift ones are my favorite. I'm trying to think of one. Like I really like the 90s inspired ones, like my Mr. Jones shirt, the Indiana Jones Mr. Jones mashup. That one, so proud of that shirt. I just like, I love that song. I love Mr. Jones. It reminds me of college parties. Like that song always came on. Not that that was like a new song when I was in college, but I don't know why that always ended up coming on our playlist at parties. And I was listening to that one day. I was like, oh my God, this would be a great Indiana Jones shirt. So I did
Yep.
the hat and the whip, and that, you know, I'm a big fan of that one.
Well, and I feel like a lot of your shirts too, like regardless of what the mashup is, like anyone could wear it. Old, young,
I
any gender, like anyone can
I
wear your shirts.
try to make it so that if you don't get the reference, you might still like the shirt.
Right.
Or if it's one of those, if you know, you know
Yep.
kind of things. Like the shirt that you have on, the Maleficent shirt. Like you can tell it's a Maleficent shirt, but if you didn't know that Taylor Swift song, you wouldn't know it's Taylor Swift. It doesn't scream Taylor Swift, but you could still
Yep.
wear it. I do notice that in the fonts I use and things, I do use a lot of cursive, and that tends to be very feminine. And I'm like, oh, I should get away from using so much cursive just so it's more, they're more unisex. But I do like the subtle nod, the
Yep.
subtle Taylor Swift nod, or even like the subtle Disney nod. So if you don't know it's Disney right off the bat, like the Peter losing Wendy shirt, I wear that all the time. And unless you know, you're not going to know it's Disney. You're not going to know it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I live in New Jersey. We go to Disney maybe once a year. I wear the stuff all the time, and I don't want to be like that guy wearing Disney
Yeah.
stuff all the time. So, but people don't know. They don't realize it's subtle. I like a subtle reference.
Yeah. I think the shirt that I have gotten the most compliments or like comments and questions on is the Star Wars blank space
Oh
shirt,
yeah.
which is also one of my favorites. And you can always tell people are reading it and then they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, like
Oh yeah.
I get it now." Because it like it does like I feel like the mashups that you do blend so perfectly and that's what makes them magical to
It's
use
funny because
that
we
word.
have now that I work in an elementary school, they have themed days all the time. So I get to wear my shirts to work all the time because something goes with something all the time.
Yep.
So they will have like a Star Wars day. And so I wore that shirt and like nobody knew it was a Taylor Swift shirt, but I could tell people were like reading it because we haven't seen each other in a month when you said you needed space. Oh, I get it. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, like that's, it's cool when you see it click for somebody if they do get it. But then if they don't get it, it's still, they're like, oh, it's a cool Star Wars shirt,
Yeah.
you know?
I love it.
Yeah, I like that one too. That's a pretty popular one. That's one I have to get screen printed. I can't make that one with vinyl because the tiny little dots for the stars would never cut with vinyl.
Either that or
So
you'd lose your
I'll have to,
mind doing it.
yeah, that's tough. They're too tiny. So,
Now, is there anything that you're really excited about bringing to your shop in the next couple months?
oh man, I wish I thought that far in advance. I was thinking like I really, because unfortunately in the Disney universe, holidays happen months prior to the actual holiday. So
Yep.
like if you're not first, you're last with this kind of thing. I didn't have any new Halloween designs. I kind of dropped the ball on that. Getting a puppy really kind of shook things up for me because now I don't have as much time to dedicate to coming up with new ideas or stuff. Like I heard her next door crying. I hope that didn't come up in
No,
the
I
audio here.
I didn't even hear it.
Oh yes, she started crying. So I was trying to think like, all right, I have to come up with a new holiday something. So I came up with a new Taylor Swift design. It's not even a Taylor Swift Disney design. It's the Taylor Swift winter theme type design.
Can't wait
I'm
for
very
that.
excited. Oh, I'm very excited for it. But that's really the only new one I have lined up for like the near future. I'm hoping to do a pre-order for that soon. I'm waiting to hear back from my screen printer to see if he would have any issues printing that design. I have a new, it's not even new. I've had this design for over a year, a Tron design, but it's a Tron in
Ooh.
sync mashup. I'm very excited
Yes.
for that. I love my 90s roots. I love my boy bands, and I have been waiting for the Tron ride to like, get closer to opening so I could release this. And I know that people have messaged me like, when are you going to do more boy band stuff? And I was like, I have one. Just wait,
Yeah.
be patient. That one's really fun. I have a couple that I haven't released. I've just been kind of sitting on them. And then things came up or a new song comes out or a new movie comes out and I think of something different and then I forget to release the old design that I came up with. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to having some time to sit and come up with some new things. I just need to actually sit and do it. I thought of a new Christmas Star Wars idea
Love that.
yesterday and I started trying to work on it yesterday for like a minute and it's not turning out the way I hoped. So I don't know. I may have to scrap that one. Unfortunately, a lot of ideas end up getting scrapped just because they don't turn out the way I think they should.
what you think in your head and sometimes what actually it comes out either on paper or on the screen is not always the
Yeah.
same. So that's like the not fun part of like any creative process for sure.
I wish I had the luxury of like hiring a designer. Like I'm definitely not at that point yet, but it would be so cool to be like, "Hey, I'm having a hard time bringing this to life. Like you're better at this than me. Please, can you give me give me what you got? Like show me how this would look to you." And I know some like bigger t-shirt shops use designers and that's like,
Yeah.
wow, like that would be so nice and less frustrating to try to get my own idea out. Like I could have somebody else do it for me, but
Yeah.
maybe one day.
But I think that's also what is something that makes your shop really special too, that like you do everything all the way around.
Yeah, I do literally everything. 'Cause some people say like, where do you get your designs? I'm like, oh no, I make them. Because unfortunately in the cricket community, it's almost like encouraged for you to take other people's designs.
Yeah.
Like cricket, the company sells SVGs, which is the file, like different design files, and they encourage you to purchase them and purchase their membership to use pre-made designs. So it kind of encourages people to not be creative and not come up with their own designs. And I've had issues with people looking at my shirt, deciding they don't want to buy it for me and asking someone with a Cricut to make it for them. And that's always really discouraging when somebody will comment on my post as if I'm not going to see it
Right.
and tag someone, hey, can you make this for me? And then I have to comment back and say, well, you could buy it from me since that's my design. Like I didn't buy that design from anyone. I made that. That's my idea.
Yeah.
So that can get really frustrating. It's tough because the perks of having a t-shirt shop are really cool, but then like the downfalls are not the best sometimes. That's a discouraging part of it, trying to constantly be unique and creative
Right.
and then having someone come along and rip off that idea.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, got to move on to the next thing, I guess. Got to come up with something new. So I try not to take it too personally.
Yeah. But I think that's where like you were saying earlier, your shop and your like ideas are so unique that like you know where that came from. You're like, I was driving to my parents' house and I heard this song and that's where the idea came from. So I think that's really something important for people to think about when they shop too, of like how much work people are putting into their shops to make them successful, to make really fun shirts, ears, bags, whatever it is for you to have. It comes from a really special place. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this segment of the podcast, because people ask me all the time, like, oh, where do you get your shirts? Where do you get your ears when you go to the parks? And I literally have a note of like, here's where I buy these shirts. Here's where I buy these ears. Like, and I'll say, here's where I get all my stuff. And I was like, I really want to bring people on so like people like yourself can tell your story of how you do it, how much passion you have behind this stuff so that other people can see it. I think that's so important.
And that's so cool that you do that too. That you're not just like, oh, I got it from Etsy or I got it from a small shop. That you actually like promote. That's cool. I like to hear that.
Yeah, and I think people like, even just tagging things on Instagram, right? And saying like this one's from Third Wish Designs and go check them out. Like the more people can share things, I think is so important.
Honestly, I think my website gives me some analytical data about like where my sales come from. I think
Yeah.
it's like 98% of my sales come from Instagram. It's from
Wow.
people like sharing my stuff, people finding my page, and then clicking a link in my bio to my website to make a
That's
purchase. Like not
incredible.
many, nobody really finds my website organically. Like they're not on Google looking for Disney shirts and they find me. So it's kind of cool to know that I have this community of people on Instagram that back me up and share my things and are excited for my stuff. And it also tells me how many times people have purchased from me. So the repeat purchase, like that makes my whole day. I'm like, oh my God, these people have bought, this is their 10th order. This is their 11th order. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog's crying again.
Oh,
He just heard her through the wall.
poor thing. So for anybody listening, when you buy from these small shops, like make sure to tag them, because it's not just like tag them so they know that you're wearing their shirt, but you're actually helping to support and promote their shop. So it doesn't have to be like a big purchase. It could be one purchase of one shirt and then you share it and then someone else goes to Keri's Instagram, clicks on the link, and really creates like a spiderweb effect of
It doesn't
revenue.
even have to be a purchase.
Yeah.
If you like something and you don't want to buy it, that's fine. But if you think it's cool and you think other people might think it's cool, share it.
Yeah.
Share it to your Instagram stories and tag me so people might think, oh, that's cool. Maybe I want to buy that. Like I have people who are super supportive and like friendly with me on Instagram who have never purchased anything,
Yeah.
but they share my stuff, they like, they comment, and that helps with my engagement, that helps my page grow. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just as thankful for those people as I am for the ones who do make purchases. Like it is helpful across the board. And before I was a small business owner, I never used to do that stuff on Instagram. I was like, they're never, I just assumed like if I buy something from a stranger on Etsy, that's it. They're a stranger. I
Yeah.
don't need to do anything. I don't need to connect with them on Instagram. Now I realize how much that actually helps. And so
Yeah.
I'll tag every single shop in
Mm-hmm.
everything that I use. I take pictures of my shirts, like flat lays of my shirts, but I'll put ears and I'll put a koozie and I'll put like other small shop items in my picture and make sure I tag them because I know how much that promotion helps.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for people that haven't purchased from you before, what's your buying process like? Do you do pre-orders? Is your shop always open? How does that work for some new
So
folks?
things have shifted a bit, like I said, since I got a puppy. Normally, I would be open all the time. I've had to take a mini break just because my dog Rosie has been taking up all of my free time, and she's only 5 months old and like just demands my attention constantly. I just reopened the shop this past week on Wednesday, and I will keep it open until I start to feel overwhelmed, and then I'll close it again just to catch up on some orders. Most of the shirts are made to order. So basically, they're all available all the time. If you see a shirt that you want and you check out in the size, I'm going to go in my shirt cabinet that I'm sitting next to and get the blank shirt in the color and the size that you want. I'm going to cut the vinyl. I'm going to make the design and press it on there for you. I sometimes do pre-orders when I am getting shirts screen printed. So screen printing and versus vinyl, people don't really understand the difference and they ask me all the time. So I can give a quick explanation.
Yeah.
Vinyl is you use a Cricut, you cut it, and the design is applied with like a heat press, like a t-shirt press. Eventually, over time, depending on how well you take care of your shirt, the design may start to peel a little bit. Like a vinyl shirt is not going to last forever and ever if you wear it all the time and throw it in the wash all the time. And if you dry it, I have vinyl shirts that I've made for myself that I've been wearing for years and they're not peeling, but it's just, I have to throw it out there that this shirt is not going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Screen printed shirt, which I prefer, is like the design is basically painted on there with a stencil. That tends to last longer. However, it's huge machinery that I cannot fit in my apartment. I have to have someone else make these shirts for me, and you have to buy them like in bulk. I need at least 24 people to be interested in one design to get a batch screen printed. So I'll do those as a pre-order. So the last pre-order I did was, oh, surprise, a Taylor Swift design. And lots of people were actually interested in this one. So I was able to get it screen printed. But
Yeah.
if only one person wants to buy a shirt, I can't get it screen printed. So then it has to be made with vinyl. Again, it's some people don't care. Some people only want to buy screen printed shirts. I would love to eventually in the future shift to only getting shirts screen printed, but that would mean that it has to be pre-orders all the time because
Yeah.
or I have to move into a big house with more space because I don't have room to keep inventory of a bunch of printed shirts
Right.
because I have so many designs. I think I have just of Taylor Swift alone, I have over 50 designs, which is
Oh my
crazy.
God.
Yeah, just Taylor Swift mashup designs, 50 blows my mind. So I can't keep that much inventory all the time. I know a lot of other t-shirt shops will do like they'll release like a new design and then they'll restock that design eventually. So not everything's available at once. So that's kind of something that's nice about my shop is every design is available to you unless it's that one that I can't make with vinyl, the needed space Star Wars design.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the shop's open right now. If it is closed, it's only temporarily while I'm just catching up on orders or if I am on a vacation or something like that. But I try to keep it open all the time. And again, you can always DM me if anybody has questions about when I'm opening or if you need a shirt for a certain time frame or a trip or something.
And be prepared because now the Taylor is going to be re-releasing all of her music, and we've got a 30-song Red album coming out in a couple weeks that I know you and I have briefly chatted about. I am not going to be well. I don't know how I'm going to survive the day with 30 new songs, but
yes,
I can only imagine there will be lots to come.
Yeah, it's funny because anytime it's kind of fun when Taylor Swift does something and people think of me automatically. I'm like, I think I've arrived in life. Like, yeah,
Yes.
people think of me when they think of Taylor Swift. So people will message me anytime like a new song comes out or she's dropping a new album or something and say like, oh, I can't wait to see what shirts you come up with. And like
Mhm.
my heart just melts inside because I'm like, wow, I'm really like doing something cool here that people are enjoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping to get some new inspiration with some new songs and re-listen to some old ones. So
That would
it'll
actually
be good.
be a fantastic Taylor Swift mashup Tim McGraw caption for you to use, I feel like. When you think
I
Taylor Swift, I hope you think Third Wish Designs.
That's hilarious. You know what? I actually just posted something on Instagram somebody posted and I shared it to my story and it said, when you think Taylor Swift, I hope you think of me. And I'm
Yes.
like, that's me. I hope you think of me. And like, because people do, I get messages all the
Right
time.
here. I'm always
Yep.
like, oop, new song. Let's keep an eye out for Third Wish
Yeah. What
Designs.
they're like, are you designing? Are you coming up with things? I'm like, I am. And it's funny because I'll still like this new winter design that I'm excited about that's coming out. It's not like there's any new Taylor Swift songs, but it's a Taylor Swift one. So I don't know.
Love
Always
it.
thinking.
So everybody keep your eyes out. And so for people that haven't either followed you yet or shopped with you yet, where can everybody find you?
Okay, so I am on Instagram at Third Wish Designs. I'm also on Facebook, but Facebook's kind of the same thing. I just click the share to Facebook thing on Instagram. So Instagram's really where I spend most of my time. And then my website is www.thirdwishdesigns.com. So that's
Perfect.
where you can find me. Send me lots of messages. If you'd like to email me, my email is what's your third wish at gmail.com.
I love it. We'll make sure that those are all in the show notes. And I can confirm Keri is incredibly nice. And that's actually why I was
Okay.
like, I'm going to reach out to her and just like see if she'd want to come on the podcast. Cause I feel like, we chat via Instagram often. So don't be afraid.
Yeah,
Send her a DM.
I'm a
She's
real
super nice.
person. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a real person. I'm not Amazon, so I'll actually answer you and like help you come up with like, a good shirt for your trip or something if you are trying to decide and can't decide. So I chat with people all the time.
I love it. All right. So for our last two parts of the episode, we're going to do speed round of favorites.
Okay.
Could be anything of any of these that are your favorite. And then we'll do your favorite magic moments.
Okay.
Ready?
Sounds good.
Okay. I know you said you don't have a favorite resort, but that's our first one. So,
All Star Sports. It is my favorite. I haven't stayed at a lot, but All Star Sports feels like home to me. I'm a simple girl.
I love it. Favorite restaurant on property?
Oh God. See, that's one that Be Our Guest, I guess, is one of the only like actual restaurants I've eaten at, but that's the atmosphere inside is super cool. So yeah, Be Our Guest.
Love it. Favorite park?
Magic Kingdom. The most magical. Oh my gosh. That has all my favorite rides. So it's gotta be Magic Kingdom.
Which leads us to our next one. Favorite ride at each park?
Okay, Magic Kingdom. Oh God, so Splash Mountain. At Epcot, my favorite ride. I guess Soarin' is my favorite ride at Epcot. Hollywood Studios. You know what now? Rise of the Resistance is my new favorite ride at Hollywood Studios.
Incredible.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Even my husband, who's not a Disney guy, not a Star Wars guy, never watched a single Star Wars movie, was like, wow, that ride is so cool. And then Animal Kingdom, I love the dinosaur ride. I know I should probably say Flight of Passage. I've only ridden that one time. That was really cool. But the dinosaur ride's great. I love that.
I've actually never been on the
Reminds me,
dinosaur ride.
no, it's so good. It reminds me of the Indiana Jones ride from Disneyland. It's like the same track.
Oh, okay.
It's very, yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland, but that ride is really cool. And it's like the dinosaur version of it.
Isn't dinosaurs scary? Or am I imagining that
It's a
some
little,
people think it's scary and it's
yeah,
actually not?
it's a little scary. I mean, you're being like, chased by dinosaurs and stuff. And like there's, asteroids coming and like you might die. So yeah, it's a little scary.
Could be a little scary.
Yeah, but it's exciting. I don't know. I love that ride.
So I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, but favorite snack?
So I guess it's the pineapple raspberry Dole Whip float. That one, if I had to choose between that and the Peter Pan float, I think I would go with the raspberry pineapple.
All right.
Yes, got it. A nice refreshing snack.
Now, favorite either like merch item or collectible item that you either have or something that you like to collect when you go?
I love the Spirit jerseys. I'm wearing one right now. And I have, gosh, probably like 12 of them, like, which is ridiculous. I don't know that I'll ever buy another one now because they've gotten so expensive. They're like $75 now, and I'm having a hard time justifying it.
Agreed.
But that's my favorite. I like to buy one when I'm there for a trip. That's like my souvenir when I go, is I'll get myself a spirit jersey. But now I'm like, maybe not. I
Yeah.
also like to buy Christmas ornaments for my trip. I'll get like one ornament each time I go.
I love
So I'll
that.
have a Disney tree.
That's my goal this year, is to do a second, have like a real tree and then like a fake artificial tree and make that a Disney tree.
I love that.
That's
If you
my
do
goal.
that, please send me a picture.
I will. And on spirit jersey, no, because I'm also a spirit jersey person. The new ones that they just came out, there's like a winter
I want
Mickey
that
and
one.
Minnie, like the skiing
Yeah.
one.
So cute.
I was like, oh,
$75
no.
though. Like, that hurts my soul. I'll wait till there's a % off on Shop Disney, but by then it'll be
Yes.
sold out, I'm sure.
Like any discount, I'll take anything because I feel like I need
kind of want
that.
an annual pass just so I can get the 20% off discount to buy spirit jerseys.
Or like the credit card.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, maybe I need that. No, Keri, stop it. I just don't need that. Stop. I don't need another spirit jersey.
I am not the person to not convince you to get it, because I will
Like,
say we all need it.
Spirit jerseys and like yoga pants, that was like my quarantine wardrobe.
Same.
Like, I wore a spirit jersey and yoga pants every day during heavy pandemic times. So, and I would be happy if that was my wardrobe for the rest of my life, to be honest.
I'm working from home from now on, and that is just that's gonna be what I live in. That or sweatpants.
That's awesome. I'm a little jealous. Now that I'm back at work, I'm like, what are real pants? This is weird.
How is this supposed to work? Do you have any favorite non-park activities?
Non-park activities. I do like to go to Disney Springs. I still call it downtown Disney in my mind.
So hard.
I'm an old soul, but I like to go, and it's so different now than it was. It's like really fun to kind of explore and like see all the different things that are there now, all the stores that are there and stuff. But that's always a fun thing to do. I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I spend most of my time in the parks. I'm not a like resort hopper to go see. I don't know. I guess I figured a hotel's a hotel. It's cool. I'd like to see some of the other hotels, and I've been to some of the other hotels just to see like the Swan and the Dolphin. Like, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
But no, catch me in the parks.
I love it. Favorite Disney movie?
Aladdin. Oh my gosh, hands down. Like, I could watch that movie every day for the rest of my life and not get sick of it.
I was gonna say, for the people that haven't followed Keri yet, you will know Aladdin is her favorite. I feel like when I see Aladdin things, like sometimes even like a lounge fly, I'll like DM it to you, like, did you see this yet? Because I also now, when I see Aladdin or something like that, I'm like, oh, I feel like Keri would love that.
I do. Aladdin's the best. That movie, God, just melts my heart. And like, my second favorite story, I like Peter Pan, not the Disney movie necessarily, but like the story of Peter Pan and the whole idea of Peter Pan. Peter Pan's Flight is one of my favorite rides too. So that's usually my second go-to if I'm going to buy any kind of like merch, like Peter Pan merch. I'm a fan.
I love it. And last one, favorite Disney character?
Pluto. Oh my God, my boy. He's my favorite. Like, even as a 34-year-old adult, I will get my picture with Pluto in the parks. No one else. I don't care if I meet anyone else. Hey, Mickey, you're cool, but like, no, give me Pluto. He's my favorite.
And I feel like Pluto's always a really fun interaction too.
Yes. Oh, he's so cute. And like, he just like kissing his nose. Like, now I know we can't kiss noses anymore because of like germs and stuff. But like, there's nothing like a kiss from Pluto.
Yes. And character meet and greets they actually, as of the time that we're recording this episode, soft launched the last couple days. Like, Mickey's back. Some of the princesses are back. So hopefully by your next trip, Pluto will be ready to see you.
I didn't see Pluto on my last one. It was a little sad.
That's one of the things that I can't wait for. I'm actually also love character dining, meet and greets. I'm so excited for them to be back and a little bit closer to what they were pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it's definitely a different trip than it was if you don't have that aspect of it. Like, the characters, I remember when I was a kid and the characters used to just walk around.
Yeah.
It wasn't like scheduled times to meet them. You didn't need a fast pass, which now fast pass doesn't even exist anymore. But like, you didn't need a fast pass to go meet a princess. They just kind of wandered around, and it was like the honor system. Like, you wouldn't bum rush them. You would just kind of like, oh, stop for a quick picture. And just funny, it's gotten way too crowded and way too crazy for that. But yeah, I miss the simple times where they used to just walk around. You see Tigger like bouncing around the parks just by himself.
Yeah. And to your point too, like, there weren't like super long lines either. Like, you used to be able to just walk up with your autograph book, get your signature, and then off you went.
Yeah. Yeah. Simpler times. I feel like Disney's gonna just become so like it's just gonna be back to like a once in a lifetime trip rather than a once a year trip.
Yeah.
Getting tough to keep going, but I don't know.
We're gonna keep our fingers crossed for more good things and things to kind of, I don't know if revert back is the right word, but like revert back to what we're used to, what
You know
everybody
what?
misses.
If you wanted a more simple Disney experience, you go to Disneyland. Disneyland, I went a couple years ago and I went with my husband and he actually really liked it because it was simple and like you didn't have to plan everything ahead of time. And you kind of went that day and we're like, hey, let's check and see what fast passes are available right now. And we just looked and we'd pick one and we'd go. It was just a way more relaxed, kind of old school Disney experience.
Yeah.
So
I've never
my
been.
next trip will be to Disneyland again.
Ugh, that's on my bucket list. I still like can't even wrap my mind because I've only done Disney World my whole life. I can't even imagine like just being able to walk from like one park to the other.
It's the best. And then you can walk off property and go eat at Denny's or wherever. Like it's just a way different experience.
Yeah.
Very cool. I highly recommend Disneyland.
All right. Last two pieces. So, what is your favorite magic moment at Disney World or Disneyland as a guest? And then, do you have a favorite magic moment as a shop owner?
Oh, okay. So as a Disney guest, I'll say a really cool like Disney memory.
Yeah.
So my birthday is October 1st. So that's Disney's, Magic Kingdom's anniversary, Disney World's anniversary. When I went to see the Beauty and the Beast show at what was MGM at the time, Hollywood Studios now, the Beauty and the Beast show had an opening act called Four for a Dollar. And they were an a cappella group that would sing songs like while you sat and waited for the show to start. They don't do that stuff anymore, but like they wanted to know if it was anybody's birthday and it wasn't anybody's birthday. And of course, my brother raises his hand to volunteer me to say, my sister's birthday is Disney World's birthday. So they pulled me on stage and sang happy birthday to me.
Oh,
For
so
the Beauty and the
fun.
Beast, the show started. So that just was a really cool memory. Like, I feel like that sort of thing doesn't really happen anymore. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
As a guest. And just an example of like how you can make a kid's whole trip so magical just by doing something like that.
Absolutely.
As a shop owner, I would say the coolest thing that's ever happened was me seeing somebody in the park wearing my shirt. And I was like, oh my God, like that's my shirt. And it would be somebody who I maybe interacted with on Instagram because, like I said, most of my sales come from Instagram and people on there. We kind of become like friendly and we know each other and stuff just from communication. And it's like, oh my God, that's my shirt. Like the last time I was there, I saw somebody and like we were just passing ever so quickly. And I'm like, here's my shirt. And like we ran up, got a quick picture. Like that's really cool because it feels more real at that point when you're like, oh my gosh, wow, somebody actually like chose to wear this shirt I designed on their Disney trip, which I don't know, it's huge for me.
Absolutely. And so, are you comfortable if people see you at the park to like come up and say hi and things like
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, so when I was there with my husband, I was more like, we're not going to sit and chit chat the whole time, but just because I would feel bad for him because he already, like I said, is just tolerating being there. But if I'm there with my mom or there with one of my friends or something, like, yeah, absolutely. Either way, come say hi to me if I'm there. I'll always announce when I'm there and I try to share all my stories and stuff when I'm there. It's very cool. It really makes my day. Or if you wear a shirt to the park and like a cast member says they like your shirt, tell me that. Tell me it makes my whole day to find out that like the cast members think my shirts are cool. Like, yes, because I don't get to go that often. So if you're there and somebody likes your shirt, tell me.
Yeah, you're like an extension of Third Wish Designs at that point.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming on today. This was so fun. Any last minute tips, tricks, things that you want to tell people as first time shoppers or maybe long time shoppers with Third Wish Designs that you want to send everybody off with?
If you have any questions ever, send me a DM. If you ever are thinking like, oh, I need a shirt to wear to Epcot or I need a shirt that's Beauty and the Beast, there's a search function on my website that you can type in. I tag all of my designs. You can type in if you want like an Elsa shirt or if you want an Epcot shirt. Like I try to remember when I'm putting a shirt in what parts you could wear it to.
Love
so
that.
if you need a shirt for Hollywood Studios, you could type in Hollywood Studios and like the Star Wars shirts will pop up or Beauty and the Beast shirt will pop up or whatever would go with that part. Because a lot of times people say, you should make a blank shirt. And I'll say, I have that shirt. It's tough
Yeah,
because I have so many and nobody wants to scroll through my entire website. So use the search feature. That is really helpful.
that's
Um,
huge.
yeah. So, and, stay tuned for new things because I'm really trying to prioritize, my real job and my new dog and also coming up with new shop stuff. So new stuff coming hopefully soon.
Perfect. Well, I personally can't wait to see it. And like I said, we'll drop your handle, shop, all that stuff on into the show notes. So make sure you go and check out Keri at Third Wish Designs.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Thanks so much for hanging out today. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Living the KG Life and subscribe or follow on all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. I am so excited for all the episodes that we have to come on sharing magic, creating magic, planning magic, running Disney, and so much more. So stick around. It's going to be great.